Welcome to ACP, the Amazon Connect podcast. This is the show that focuses on Amazon Connect and related technologies. I'm your host, Tom Morgan, and I'm joined as usual by my co-host, AWS Solution Architect and Contact Center Consultant, Alex Baker. We are also joined today by Ruben Optenacker, Head of Product at Ideal Systems. Find out more about Cloud Interact by visiting us at cloudinteract.io. It's time for another ACP. We're back after our summer break. Alex is back. We're both suntanned. We're relaxed. Hello, Alex. How's it going?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, good. Thank you. I feel like the suntan has probably faded by now. It's definitely we had a bit of a hiatus, didn't we, for a while?
True.
But it's good to be back.
And we're back with a bang because we're really pleased this week to be joined by Ruben Optenacker. Hello, Ruben.
Hello. You pronounce it quite well, I must say.
No, it was one of the things that was on my notes to just check with you before we hit record, and I completely forgot. And then I saw it coming up, and I was like, "Take a deep breath. You got this." No, it's all good.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so Ruben, you're head of product at Ideal Systems. Can you just kind of take us through what that means, please?
Yep. No, Ideal Systems is a product company in the mobile CCaaS space. That sounds like a niche, and it is definitely a niche. And I'm head of product there, so we manage 3 mobile products currently that are built on different contact center software platforms.
Okay, that's cool. And so we're going to be digging a little bit this episode into mobile, getting mobile, getting out and about, getting mobile with Amazon Connect. And I did sort of think, whilst I was lying on my beach in the summer, I was thinking, how could this be better? If only I had Amazon Connect on my mobile. Anyway, so whereabouts are you based?
We're based in Belgium. Beautiful Brussels.
Beautiful Brussels. Lovely. Good beer. All right. So can you give us a couple of minutes just on your background, how you ended up at Ideal, how you ended up there?
Yeah. I actually started my career in international tax, which is very far from where I'm now at. I moved from tax into technology, and 2 years ago, I started at Ideal Systems and entered the beautiful world of contact center software. I don't know how I got to this point, but yeah, we're here now.
Yeah, it does. It seems like a bit of a jump from international tax straight to contact centers. How did that come about?
Yeah, tax was my first love, but it didn't last very long. I was always, even in my tax job, I was always working on the technology piece. So it didn't take long that I jumped ship even within that first firm to the technology side of things. And then everything else just started evolving from there. And I left tax a long while ago already.
Do they still, does your finance team still kind of like call you up to be like, do you know the answer to this?
No, they luckily don't, but it's a good thing that I have the background sometimes. That helps though.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting.
Maybe they will after they've listened to the podcast. They'll come and tap you up for all their tax queries.
I don't think they even know. You're right.
Okay, so you mentioned before you did, Ideal does kind of communications on mobile. So that makes it sound like you support more than just Amazon Connect, right?
Yeah, we've built apps on 3 platforms. Amazon Connect is one of our flagship products there, so Mobile Connect. But we've done the same on Genesys and NICE CX1 as well. It all started with Genesys, but it evolved from there on.
Okay. And so over what sort of time period?
I think we started with the first mobile app 5 years ago. It was not the start of the company because the company was founded already 31 years ago. I looked it up this morning. It was in my birth year. That's pretty scary. That's when they started the company. They've been into contact center software, but more tailor-made software for on-premise installations back then. But I think 5 years ago, they saw the whole move from on-prem to cloud happening, and that's where they decided there will be less custom software work, so we'll have to make a jump to products, and that became mobile products for contact centers.
It's quite an interesting niche to be in, and I think there are relatively few other people in that niche. And like Tom was saying about sort of sitting on the beach thinking, Amazon Connect on my mobile would make this better. I was sort of thinking about it, and in a lot of cases, you might think maybe having having your agent sort of allowed to run riot and be mobile is not necessarily a good thing. But I know you guys have found some super interesting use cases where it is a good thing. So yeah, maybe you can tell us about a few of those as well.
Yeah, when we talk to pure contact center people, the response we always get is, I don't want my contact center agent to be mobile. And they're absolutely right. The use cases that we're typically serving 99% of the time are use cases outside of the contact center. So everyone who might have contact with a customer that is not sitting behind their desk all day. And that can be field sales, it can be a field engineer, it could be claim handlers, experts on the road, showroom employees, you name it. But there are a lot of people in every company that have contact with the customer that are not sitting in your contact center.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, makes sense. And it sounds like that perception hasn't changed much, even since kind of the pandemic and all that. You know what I mean? Like, because suddenly you can imagine that must have been a really good thing if people had access to it. But then maybe post that, it's no, get back in the contact center. And
yeah, and the biggest thing we're competing with is people's normal phone, because that's what's happening today. In those companies, those people are just using their company phone or their personal phone. And that's literally our competition, like getting them to an app instead of using their native phone. That's what we try to do with most of our customers.
I think probably a lot of people might be surprised that Amazon Connect doesn't have a native built-in first-party mobile story. Like out of the box, there is no mobile support, right? And it's surprising in a way. I mean, it's obviously it allows partners like you to kind of come in and create like a best of breed solution. And do you think that's maybe all it is? It's just there's quite a lot of work involved. It's almost its own thing, and that's better left to partners.
Yeah, and mobile is not the easiest technology to work in, to be honest. And I think that's also the reason why Amazon Connect hasn't yet touched it. They're very focused on their desktop solution and everything that runs with it, with the AI pieces and so on. Mobile is really a different game from a technology perspective, because you're running on Android, iOS devices. You have unstable internet a lot of the times. So it's a completely different situation. So we tweak the Amazon Connect software a bit to work in mobile situations and to work in like situations with bad internet, for example. So I think that's the main reason that they haven't touched it yet. I do think that there is a very broad world out there beyond the contact center that a lot of companies haven't seen yet or haven't touched yet. So we personally believe that, there is still a lot to come in that field.
Yeah, definitely. That thing around Signal is interesting, because of course, like, it's people give them a mobile app and they'll move around, right? So yeah, and especially some of your use cases you were saying, like field workers, people on the road and stuff like that, must be in and out of Signal all the time. Yeah, that must be really interesting. And do you see that is the problem there around signaling or media or both? As in, like, is it getting the calls to them and alerting them that there's someone in the queue, or is it actually the physics of being on the call and the quality of the phone call?
It's not as such the signaling, because that we run over iOS and Android, so they make sure that the call comes in and that they are notified. It's mostly the stability during the call, because we have a lot of customers, users that are in the car, for example. They might travel for like 50 kilometers straight during a single call, and they're switching 4G, they're switching 5G, bad internet, good internet. And so the challenge there is to keep that voice stream up and running and make sure that it doesn't drop 5 times in that single call. And that's something that you will never have on a stable Wi-Fi or Ethernet connection on your desktop.
Yeah. Does the app use both the sort of mobile data connection and also the more sort of traditional cellular connection then for the voice part?
It's only the internet part. So the cellular piece we actually don't use. You do have the option, because we have quite some users that are in very remote areas where they even don't have 2G. We do give you the option to switch to desk phone, and then we route the call to your SIM card. It's like a fallback scenario that we offer in case you have bad internet. You can just go over your cellular network.
So kind of like in the standard CCP for Amazon Connect, where you can select to route to a desk phone rather than the soft phone. Yeah, okay. That's handy.
The exact same setup indeed.
Yeah, okay.
And for agents, what's the experience like? I mean, you said it's an app, it's on iOS and Android. I mean, I'm imagining it a little bit like the CCP, like, but in an app. Like, is that fair? Like, what's the experience like?
The CCP, but much simpler. And I think that's the challenge of our job. We need to make things really simple. One, it's an app, so you only have a small screen. And two, we're not working with trained contact center agents. We're working with salespeople. And if they don't get the hang of it in like 1 or 2 minutes, they'll literally just drop the app and stop using it. So the whole challenge for us is to make something really complex look simple in that mobile app.
Got it. Yeah, it's almost, I see what you mean. It's got to be as simple as what they were using before, the phone, like the standard phone call. Like otherwise,
yes.
And
to that point, we even match it with the normal phone. Like the position of your hold button or your mute button is in the exact same location as your normal phone, so that we have, not that much disruption from going to a phone to Mobile Connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say that's quite noticeable when you have a play with the product. It just feels intuitive. If you know your iPhone, then immediately you know the controls in Mobile Connect. In order to do that, do you have a big sort of UX UI team that works on that kind of thing?
We don't. We actually have quite a small team. We do have one UX guy in our team who is really focusing on how to make it even more simple, how to have less clicks for every action. So there is someone dedicated looking into that. For the rest, we have a pretty dense development team of 6 to 7 people today. And we try to keep it that way so that we can continue to move fast.
And on the Amazon Connect side, are the calls just regular Amazon Connect calls? Like if I look in contact search, I'll see them. They can get contact lens, whatever. They get all the same stuff, right?
Well, that's the beauty of it. From an Amazon Connect perspective, you don't even see the difference between was the call taken on the desktop or was it taken on the mobile. So your analytics, your transcriptions, your summaries, all your data is just there in Amazon Connect. And that's also the main reason that a lot of these companies are looking into it. They have no control of what's being said outside of the contact center. And when they move to Mobile Connect, well, they get a full view of who is saying what. They have all the recordings for compliance purposes. They have all the analytics, the data. So it's quite an interesting world that opens up with a lot of our customers.
I guess you can do all of the basics that you can do in CCP. So obviously handle calls. You can do things like transfers still. So things like quick connects.
Yeah, so quick connects, transfers, consults. You can even handle tasks, messages, chats. All the things that you can do on the CCP can be done on the mobile as well.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. So it's like you kind of think, oh, there must be some limitations, some trade-offs, but actually it sounds like you've got all of the channels covered. You've got all of the contact lens and everything, so that it sort of looks the same in the Connect portal. Despite you using the mobile device, have you found that there are any sort of trade-offs, or I guess the mobile signal is one obvious thing, right? Anything else that you guys have come across?
Well, another trade-off is, and it's for security purposes, Amazon Connect has a 12-hour session limit for any Amazon Connect session. So our dream would be that session can just continue and they never have to log in again. It's just a persistent connection going on. But every 12 hours, users will have to re-authenticate. Now, in our case, that's just a click of a button, but yeah, they do have to re-authenticate every 12 hours. So that's one of the trade-offs that we have today, and hopefully we'll be able to get rid of that in the future.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I imagine that being annoying because I guess you can still send out the notification that you want to try. You're signaling the agent, but or they're offline. You can see how
exactly.
And we sort of see it from both angles, in that some people almost don't like the fact that if an agent walks away from their desk, they don't do a proper log out. Quite often they're still shown as logged in for the duration of that 12-hour period, whereas actually in this case it's maybe more of a challenge because your sales folks aren't sort of using that touch point really regularly, so they might just be logged out and have to actively log back in again.
Yeah, and that's one of these prime examples between desktop and mobile. Another one there is, for example, what happens when you miss a call. On the desktop for a contact center agent, that person gets put into a not responding state and they won't be receiving any other calls. makes sense because they should be sitting behind their desktop and taking a call. But on the mobile side, let's say you're a field sales, you might be talking to a physical customer at that point in time and just not be able to pick up the phone at that specific time. That doesn't mean you're not available for the next few hours. So also there is like a system on our side that pushes them back into the available state after 30 seconds, just to deal with the fact like this is not a contact center scenario. This is a mobile scenario, and we have different needs there, same technology, but we have to tweak it in some ways.
I think it's probably two things people think about when they think about this. One is, I think it's all those little things that you don't think about until you've done it, or you hit those problems. You're like, it's a million different workarounds to create a good user experience. And then I think the second one is like, this is probably hard because it was probably not something, Amazon Connect people ever envisaged you'd want to do. So like you're kind of fighting the integrations a little bit, and I can't see that there's a clear path for you doing what you're doing. So I imagine there's a bunch of work you had to do to make this even possible in the first place. Yeah,
exactly. And one of the two original founders from the company he's still our CTO. He's the guy that does all the innovation from an app perspective. So it's true, we have to find our ways around typical desktop usage and how we get this thing working on mobile. We are using the Amazon Connect Streams API for that one. And then we have our own server component running on the side, but that's mostly for push notifications and waking up the device. But yeah, it took a while to get there. But once we cracked it, I must say it's pretty scalable as we have it now.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think it's interesting as well. It's another place where it's another interaction that agents have, and it's another type of interaction. So I imagine you may not do this, but it's just interesting to think about. Like, you have the opportunity to gather different types of data as well than agents just being behind desks, because you're out on a mobile phone. You've got more information as much as anything else. And yeah, I think that's interesting to think about as well.
Yeah, we really take away those blind spots at customers. We had a big customer in the UK in the utilities industry, and they had the issue that every time that they went to a customer and that customer wasn't home, then they lost quite a bit of money because an engineer went there, he wasn't doing any other job, they had transportation costs and so on. They asked their engineers to make a call up front before going there, but they had no way to check if that actually was being done. So now they went into Mobile Connect, and then an SMS is automatically being sent from Amazon Connect before they go automatically. And then the engineer still has to make a call to that person. But all of a sudden, that company can see, did they make the call, what was said during that call? And then you have way better methods and analytics to cope with it. I mean, if the customer said I was home and when they arrived they weren't, well, that's a no-show fee. But the same thing for the engineers itself. It became a KPI for them to really make sure that they make the call and make sure those people are home before they drive there.
Yeah, that's quite fascinating hearing about that, because I fairly recently have experience of, I'm not sure if it is that exact company, but booking a gas engineer to come and look at your boiler and having that sort of workflow where you get the text message, you get the call. So it's interesting knowing that it could be Mobile Connect powering it behind the scenes.
Yes, exactly.
How does integrations work? Because in that scenario, like if I was some big utility company, I probably already have like an app that my agents want, or something that my field staff use. So they kind of like tap the buttons for like, I'm going next new job. Like I'm going to tap a button to be like, make the pre-call. Is there an integration? Is it roadmapped, or like, how does that work?
Yeah, we're quite realistic there that we are often the voice piece of the whole workflow. So we're not always the main app that they're using. So we have default integrations with Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Microsoft Dynamics, which basically allows you to start a call from one of those platforms. Now we have those 3 core integrations, but you could also do it with your own homegrown app. Basically, you go to Salesforce, for example, you go to your next appointment, there is a call button and it dials out via our app. So these are integrations that we really try to work on because we know there is a reality of other apps being out there. So we have to integrate to really be part of that workflow and not just a separate app that you can use for calling.
And so all these little things that we find the same, right? But going and talking to different customers and uncovering their slightly different ways of doing things, does that mean you've got a massive and always growing product backlog that you have to sort of come back to and have constant releases of the product to keep up with everything.
Yeah, and that's a bit the conversion we went through, because we were originally like a custom built software company, and we really converged to a product company, which is a different way of handling things, I must say. So yes, we have a backlog. I used to manage it, but we hired a new product manager a couple of months ago, just to make sure that we're prioritizing everything right, because we get a lot of input from customers, which is great, but you have to fit all of that into one solution. And it's not a solution per customer, it's one solution that has to work for all. So there is a lot of groundwork to be done there on how do you use it, and does it make sense in Amazon Connect, and could you do it differently? Those discussions are ongoing all the time. But honestly, that's the thing I like the most, because it's the most fun thing in my job.
Yeah, definitely. Those are tricky decisions to make, right? Because like it's sometimes you have to say no to things because they might be good for one company, but they're detrimental to others. And that's a tricky balance sometimes, but yeah.
And we've made those mistakes. We've definitely made those mistakes, that we did things for one specific company and that it didn't work out. So we are very strict now on, does this really make sense for our entire customer base, or is it just this one customer asking for it?
Yeah, no, it's exciting.
I guess it's like the Amazon sort of product feature request type thing, where you got to sort of take into account it must be a something that more than one customer's asking for, and you've got to weigh up, is it actually valuable to everyone?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Do you have anything cool coming up that you're allowed to tell us about that's coming to the product?
Good question. Yeah, we have quite some cool features. I think mostly to integrate the app more and more into their normal workflow. One example there is the default calling app. So you will be able to set Mobile Connect as the default calling app. So whatever call you trigger on your phone, it will always go via Mobile Connect, which makes it easier for the user, and the company makes sure that, well, they're always using the right app to make their calls. So these are the things that they're coming up. We are looking into the further integrations as well, because that's questions that we get a lot from the healthcare industry, from the insurance industry, like how can we integrate this even more with other products? But yeah, more news on that one.
So it's cool. I wonder if we're going to see companies start issuing like internet only devices, like no phone number devices for stuff like this, because it's so much safer from compliance and stuff.
We saw a couple of customers doing that. So when moving to Mobile Connect, they took away the cellular SIM card, or the SIM card that has it all, voice and internet and so on, and they just gave them a internet SIM card. That didn't allow them to make calls anymore via their normal phone, but they could use Mobile Connect and just move from there on. It's also an interesting one in the cost comparison, I think, because there's quite a heavy cost to those SIM cards. Often you can drop those costs if you can make sure that you always have stable internet.
I guess this is where I don't know enough about the underlying mobile technology, but I guess you can kind of lock down the devices. So you could say you're only allowed to call via Mobile Connect. It's not something that the end user can configure themselves, I guess.
Yeah, that's something called mobile device management. So our bigger customers, they manage all these devices remotely. So they can perfectly decide, well, you can not call via a normal phone, you can only call via Mobile Connect, you can do this and that. So they pull the strings constantly on what that phone can and cannot do.
So we should talk some AI, because it's 2025. Just looking at Amazon Connect, we've got obviously Q and Connect. There's Amazon Connect's way of sort of prompting agents about things. What's your take on that for Mobile Connect? Like, is there enough screen real estate for that even to make sense? Or like, are you thinking about that? Does that come up as a differentiator?
Definitely. And there were a couple of things when it comes to AI. Number one is that we don't have any data from the customer, because it's all on Amazon Connect, and we want to keep it that way. We're a super clean app. Data remains on Amazon Connect. That does mean that we can't do any AI on customer data. We don't want to. The good thing is that Amazon Connect has so much AI features that we can leverage those features in the app. For example, when you hang up the call, you immediately get a summary of that call. If you get an incoming voicemail, you don't have to listen to the audio stream. It's just transcribed, and that transcription is right there on your screen. So we are really using those features to make sure that, well, their lives is made easier powered by, of course, the AI on Amazon Connect side.
That makes sense. So you're enabling people to carry on using the AI that's in Amazon Connect. You're just bringing it to their mobile devices.
And if you think about it from a training perspective, because a lot of these companies are now gathering data from calls and making sure their AI is trained and that it becomes smarter. Well, what we also do is, instead of looking just at the contact center, and let's just take an insurance example. In insurance contact center, you have very detailed questions about like contracts and what's going on and certain things, but we enable that AI window to become much bigger. We have a couple of customers that are using it for their claim handlers in insurance, meaning that all of a sudden that AI is not only being trained on your contact center voice data, but all those claim handler discussions are also included there. And I can guarantee you those are completely different discussions than you would have in your contact center, for example.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yes, it's a whole different different
really
class.
cool in relation to some of the stuff that we've been doing lately around our Apollo product, and thinking that suddenly you've got access to the many more categories of interaction that are happening. Yeah, it's cool being able to uncover everything in that data.
Yeah, cool. All right, this is super useful. I guess it will work with any Amazon Connect installation, really. There's no kind of bars. So what should folks do if they're listening to this and thinking, this could be right for me, this could work? Like, reach out to you, reach out to the company. Can you do things like trials or evaluations or things like that?
Yeah, they're always free to reach out to us, of course. But we're also listed on AWS Marketplace, which is, in my humble opinion, one of the most beautiful marketplaces and most honest marketplaces on this planet Earth. So we're listed there. You can just start a 10-day free trial via there and just test it out yourself. It literally takes 5 minutes to install, so there is no real reason to not test it out. And it ends automatically after 10 days. So if you like it, you continue. If you don't like it, no harm done. It just stops automatically.
Oh, perfect.
Can definitely back that up with experience and say that, yes, it's super easy, and definitely within 5 minutes you can get it set up. So give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent. I think we could carry on talking about, the fun challenges of getting Connect on your mobile. We could talk about this all day, but I think it's time to bring this episode to an end. Thank you, Ruben. That's been really, really useful. That's been really interesting as well. Fascinating to kind of see what you're doing in this space and making Amazon Connect work in places, that we hadn't thought it could. So that's really good.
Thanks for having me, and I hope to see you guys again in London in a few months.
Absolutely, yeah. And thank you, Alex, as well for the smart questions I didn't think to ask. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast player. That way, you won't miss the next episode. Whilst we're there, we'd love it if you would rate and review us. And as a new podcast, if you have colleagues that you think would benefit from this content, please let them know. To find out more about how Cloud Interact can help you on your contact center journey, visit cloudinteract.io. We're wrapping this call up now, and we'll connect with you next time.